constitutionalism and rule of law means, in simple terms, a government follows the law that it makes. So we have a government that does not follow the law that it has made. And Mrs. Chigumba then says they are not publishing the photographs because they want to protect the privacy of the voter. Now, if you say that to me, then we say it flies in the face of logic. With due respect to Justice Chigumba, that is the dumbest thing that she has ever said. And I have full respect for her intellect. By the way, I was with her in Goromonza High School. And she is a person of unquestionable academic integrity. She is. But that does not mean that she does not say dumb things. And this is an example of the dumb things that she said. Because if you want to target a voter, as long as you have their address, as long as you have their name, as long as you have their sex, you can go and cause harm to them. We were harmed by the junta in 2008. They did not have a voters' roll with photographs, but 300 people were murdered nevertheless. And therefore, that argument does not hold water at all. But what the other thing is, they said that they are going to avail a voters' roll which has got photographs on the day of voting. What that means is that the voters' roll that I am holding is not the same as the voters' roll that is going to be used. So the two are different. Now, people have criticized the MDC alliance. What do you need faces for? By the way, here's the answer. The Constitution and the Electoral Act says the voters' roll must be analyzable. So you can analyze it by name. You punch in the names and you see whether that name has appeared more than once. You can analyze by ID number. You can analyze by address. But you can also analyze by the biometric features, which is the face. So this voter, so you can say, you can program the computer which will tell you that this biometric feature has occurred more than once. Although this person is registered under different names, different addresses, this person is in fact registered more than once. That's what we wanted the voters roll for, the pictures for. They have to comply with the law. So what we have now is a voters roll that does not comply with the law. What was the reason for that? We have absolutely no idea. What is the logical conclusion? Somebody wants to steal. What is the other logical conclusion? ZEC is complicit to the intentions of the junta to steal the elections. The second thing is that contrary to conventional practice world over and in the SADC, we have no knowledge as political parties of the storage and security arrangements around the ballot papers. We are now being told that the ballot papers are being distributed. Our agents are not there. So we have no idea how many ballot papers were taken from the warehouse and how many were transported to the provincial center. And from there, how many have been transferred to the district center. And from there, how many have been transferred to the polling station. We have no idea about that right now. We don't know whether, for example, these ballots are being kept in military cantonment areas. We do not know whether they are being kept in the police barracks. We do not know whether they are being kept in the offices of the Central Intelligence Organization or in the offices of the military intelligence. We do not know that. And because this is an election, ZEC bears the honors to show that this is not so. So the fact that the storage and security and transportation of the ballot paper has been kept opaque means this election cannot be transparent. We had said to the Zimbabwe Election Commission, we want to do random testing of the ballot paper. This is what they did to us. They gave us each an envelope containing 3 ballot papers. That is a sample that they chose for themselves to give us. A true test entails me just going to the hip and say pull from there and pull from there and pull from there, and I do the testing. That is the random testing that we are talking about, and the Zimbabwe Election Commission has refused, and it has claimed independence. Their defense is that we are an independent institution. They have no idea of the difference between independence and accountability. Independence does not mean that you cannot be accountable. After all, when they conduct voting, our agents will be there observing the polling. They don't complain of lack of independence. But when we say we want to observe the transportation of the ballot material, they claim independence. We were promised by the Zimbabwe Election Commission to be allowed to test the ink that is going to be used, the indelible ink that is going to be used, only to be told a day before yesterday that we could not get the ink. The reason that we could not be given the ink is that maybe the political parties were going to test this ink on a potential voter, thus disenfranchising that voter. Because that voter will have ink on her finger. When she goes to vote, she will be rejected. I looked at Justice Chigumba as she was saying that. I looked at Dr. Krubani Moyo as he was saying that, and I saw folly written all over their faces. Because I simply said, we can test this ink on a child. We can test this ink on a prisoner, volunteer prisoner. We can test this ink on the person, on a member of the Jehovah's Witness, because we know they do not vote. But again, the Zimbabwe Election Commission refused. Now, we have said that this election, relative to the other elections, has less violence. But we don't end there. There have been threats of violence by senior members of the ZANU-PF. Again, the Zimbabwe Election Commission has said nothing, has seen no evil, heard no evil, and spoken no evil. They have kept quiet. Vice President Chiwenga says that in Mavuku, that Operation Restore Legacy is not over until ZANU-PF, unless ZANU-PF wins on the 30th of July. That is a threat to violence. We know what Operation Restore Legacy is. It means rolling of the tanks. It means soldiers holding arms. It means people holding harmful things, harmful to others. This is what Chiwenga is threatening. And ZEC kept quiet. And Josiah Ungwe says in Mashingo, and he's a member of the Politburo, Emerson Mnangagwa will shoot his way to State House. To us, this is unequivocal. There is going to be bloodshed if Mr. Mnangagwa loses. That's what they are saying. And the people of Zimbabwe want peace. People of Zimbabwe do not want war. And this fellow who is a deputy minister of something, I think it is in Harare East, this one who was fighting with his subordinate over T&S, and he's supposed to be deputy minister of finance, who has no respect of the regulations. By the way, this T&S is governed by certain regulations, certain policies. And he says that the soldiers are not going to allow a civilian authority to take over. Again, the Zimbabwe Election Commission has kept quiet. There has been use of food aid, and there continues to be use of food aid as a political weapon. ZANU-PF is giving people rice, meal, and right now it is distributing agricultural inputs in winter as a way of trying to buy the votes. Again, the Zimbabwe Election Commission is quiet. There has been abuse of traditional leaders. Again, you go no further than the highest authority on the land. In Mutoko, President Mnangagwa order these people to approach the traditional leaders and ask them to canvass for support for ZANU-PF. That is in breach of Chapter 15 of our Constitution. We have also seen the militarization of ZEC. Mr. Utoile Slaigwana, the Chief Election Officer, is a military